Night Live Q&A. My name is Tracy Matson. I'm a certified professional dog trainer, and I'm excited to be here. This is my favorite time of the week. Just getting to hang out with you guys, answer your training questions, behavior questions. And tonight, because we have the 4th of July coming up, for those of you that are joining from other parts of the world, um, you may not celebrate the 4th of July, but we do here in the United States. And here in Utah, we actually also have what's called Pioneer Day, which is on the 24th of July. So July for us is a really busy month as far as fireworks. So they've been banned because of water shortage and it's so dry here, and but it doesn't stop people from still doing it. And I'm not sure with rodeos, if it's done by a professional company, if they can still do um, fireworks or not. So, but I'm going to show you how to use the app, the Pupford app, with the fireworks, so that you can do it with your dogs, get your dogs ready, and ready for the 4th of July. Hey, Julie. And I'm going to be taking names down as we're talking so that I can enter you all in the drawing for the live Q&A. So since this record, I can go back and do the recording. Hi, Kristen. Oh, and Kristen, remind me where you're from. A lot of people I haven't memorized when they join every week, but I don't remember quite all of them. So if you can remind me where you're from, then I will enter you into the drawing for a bag of Pupford training treats. I would hold up a bag, but I just left mine at a client's house, and their dog loved him so much, so I said, here, you can keep the rest of the, I'll turn my phone off. You can just keep the rest of the bag. So I figured that by doing that, I promote the Pupford training treats. Hopefully they'll get on and buy some. I left a small bit of salmon and like half a bag of rabbit. So the dog loved it, so I just left them. Okay, so Kristen is from Ohio. And then Fiorella, did I even say that right? If you could tell me where you're from as well, I will enter you into the drawing. And I'm going to show you how to do the app. So if you go to the Pupford app, and I know it's kind of, I'm going to try and kind of hold it sideways so you can see. But go to the sounds. So first I click on the bottom part where it says sounds, and then on world, there's a heading up at the top that says world, and then the very first one says fireworks. So what I do, and I've been doing this with all my puppy classes all through the month of June, just knowing that the 4th of July is coming. So I start with the volume down pretty low, like not all the way off, but, and then make sure your sound is on. And then what I'm going to do is write Nicole's name down first and then show you. Hi, Nicole. So then I would play the sound, and you guys can probably barely hear it. And then as the sound is playing, I'm dropping treats for the dog. And you can do this, it's really good to do it with puppies, but you can do it with older dogs as well. So then if the dog handles that really well, then I'm going to turn it up. So from the side here, other side, I just turn it up like one click. And then I do the same thing. So play the sound, treat, 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 treat. The whole time the sound is playing, I drop treat. And then when the sound stops, the treat stops. Hi Smitha. I'm gonna, and when you guys get on, don't forget to tell me where you're from so that I can enter you in the drawing. Um, so if your dog barks or acts afraid or like cowers, then I would back off on the volume and make it a little bit softer and stay at that level until your dog is like, oh, cool, like wagging its tail because the sound is equaling the treat. So all dogs are going to be different. If you live in a multi-dog household, you might want to do this with each of your dogs separately because your dog may, like each dog may respond differently. So, hi Tammy. Oh, we have two Ohio people tonight. So if you're just joining us, um, please let me know. Yeah, right. Put your name down. Actually, all your names are coming up, so that's good. Um, and then tell me where you're from. So Smith, Smitha, am I saying that right? North Carolina. Nicole, I know where you're from. Okay, so Aisling, I know it's usually I am. Aisling joins us from Ireland, and yes, you go ahead and fall asleep. And I'm glad that you jumped on to say hi. I'm gonna write your name down. And I'm glad that you jumped on even just for a second. So if you fall asleep, I will not be offended. Um, so um, once your dog, so if you just joined on, I'm just showing everybody how to use the Firework app because we've got a holiday coming up that is going to be full of fireworks, um, firecrackers, even though they're banned right now because of fire season and it's been really dry here, I'm sure people are still going to do it. So once it's okay at this level, then I'm going to raise the volume. So on my phone, I just like do like 1, 2 clicks, and that's it. And then I'm going to play it again. And the whole time I'm dropping treat. So treat, treat, treat. And then when the sound stops, the treat stops. And then I keep doing that until I get up to like full volume and then do that several times. Um, and then, yes, Aisling, good night. Thank you for staying up till 1 a.m. You can watch the video later, and thanks for staying up to say hi. Um, so yeah, and right now, at least where we live, we're having thunderstorms as well, which is awesome because we need the rain. So this is a good thing to use for doing thunderstorms and fireworks right now. Oh, Fiorella, Peru. Wow, we haven't had anybody from Peru yet, so that's awesome. Okay. So then you just keep increasing the volume. Treat, 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 treat. And then sound stops and treat stops. I don't know if you can hear that. My cat, raising the cat, and my dog Jade are having a standoff right now. I'm not worried. Jade will always back down when it comes to the cat. Um, so anyway, I would do that several times before the 4th of July if you live in the United States. And Raisin, come here, come over here. And then for those of you that live in Utah, which I think we have a couple people that usually jump on from Utah, do the same thing for the 24th of July. That's like our Pioneer Day. So it's a state holiday. So the fireworks app is under World at the top. And if you go to nature, Nature is where you find thunder, rain, wind, and you can do the same thing. Whenever you change the sound, make sure that you remember to turn your volume back down. And so whenever you do a new sound, you want to start back over with a low volume and start again. Um, so if I was going to do thunder, yeah, that's so low you can't even hear it. So the whole time you can hear that I would be treating, and then so the sound equals the treat, and then when the sound stops, the treat stops. So the dogs make that association that the sound equals really yummy treats. And I wish I had known about this when I had a dog that was terrified of thunder and fireworks. Um, I didn't know about doing this. I wasn't a trainer yet. Um, so I wish I would have known to do this because it probably would have helped a lot. And I ended up using a thunder shirt with her, and it really worked. So it did get us through some thunderstorms and things like that. I would just put the thunder shirt on, and then she would like lay on the bed and settle down. So anyway, this is the best price for an app, sound app that I've seen. So I probably told you last week. I told the guys that you could probably sell it for more. I use it almost every day. So I use it like 6 days a week with clients, and I use it in puppy class. So for somebody like me that uses it a lot, um, I would have paid more for it, but they wanted to make it really affordable for people, and so it's super super affordable, and it's got like every sound. I went through and every single sound that my other app that I did pay more for. Um, yes, it's just the Pupford app. So it's the regular Pupford app, and then down at the bottom, so it says Home Products, Training, Academy, and Sound. So I haven't really played around too much with all of the things on the app, so I don't know if it's ad free, but I think it is. Um, but the sound one definitely is. I use it all the time and I never get ads. So yeah, so Julie, if you're expecting bad weather, then definitely go to the nature one on top and start to do nature sounds. So like I said, in my puppy class, this is like an invaluable tool for me, and it's got so many more sounds than my other ad or my other app does. So this is awesome. I'm so glad they came out with this. So yeah, check it out. And like I said, between now and the 4th, I would start doing like firework sounds. The other thing I love about this, um, and I don't get paid for this, so I'm just promoting it because I think it's an awesome thing. Um, so just so you know, I don't get kickbacks, I don't get anything. I just, I love that they made this so affordable, and for any dog owner and especially for dog trainers, it's amazing. But they also have a recording button so you can record your own sounds, which is so cool because when I go to people's houses that have dogs that bark at the doorbell, um, I have some doorbell apps, but they're your typical um, doorbell sounds like ding dong. And now people have Nest and they have all these fancy doorbells, and none of my apps have the doorbell sound that different people have. So you can actually go and record your own sound. So you could record your own doorbell. If you have a sound that your dog particularly doesn't like or reacts to, you can record that and then do the same thing with the volume, and you can make your own recording. So that's also really cool. Um, anyway, so I wanted to kind of go over that with everybody. Now I'm going to silence my phone. I wanted to go over that with everybody just so you could start practicing. And if you don't have the app yet, um, pick it up and start using at least the fireworks and the weather app is or the weather nature. It's nature, so it's called nature. Has thunder, rain, wind, all that stuff on that you can get your dog used to. So sirens is another one that I always tell people to do. Skateboards. It's amazing how many dogs I work with that don't like skateboards. In fact, they just have an aversion to. I don't know if it's because it's moving, but it just makes different sounds. And I'm working with a couple dogs right now that like to chase skateboards and then bite the person who's riding the skateboard. So the first thing we do is get them used to the sound of the skateboard, and then we work on slowly moving it and things like that. But it's great for that. I used to have to use YouTube um, to get the sound, and now I can just like use the app. So it's awesome. Okay, so how's everybody doing? And what are your training questions for tonight? I'm gonna just go back and make sure that I didn't miss anybody. Um, that's Smitha. Am I saying your name right? Let's see, Tammy. Got Tammy. I got Aisling. Got Fiorella. Got Julie. Okay, cool. Um, Julie says I have two. You talking about two dogs or two apps or two dogs that don't like skateboards or what? Or do you have two questions? If you have two questions, then that's awesome. So now that I've gone over the skateboard app, or the not the skateboard app. Oh, cool. Okay, I am pronouncing it correctly. Good. Um, two questions. Okay, awesome. Go ahead and ask your questions. Um, okay, how do I get Dakota to stop trying to attack Ellie when I pick her up? Um, so one thing I would do, I would actually maybe do two different things. First, we've talked about the relaxation protocol here before. Um, and so I would teach Dakota like to go to a mat or a bed and and like chill or settle or calm and then reward her for being calm on her mat. And then you can start to add in distractions. And at first I would just like bend over and pet Ellie and treat Dakota for being calm. And then reach over, pet Ellie, treat Dakota for being calm. So I would take the act of picking Ellie up and break it down into little um, like micro criteria. So if Dakota reacts when you even like pet Ellie, then I would start with just reaching down towards Ellie and reach down, treat Dakota, reach down, treat Dakota, and then pet, treat Dakota, and then put your hand like under Ellie, treat, um, and then um, and then start to pick her up and treat Dakota. So like today, I was working with a dog that was showing some aggression towards humans, and especially like the dog would not really be fine with people, but once they were in and seated, the dog would calm down. But then as soon as they stood up and started walking around, then the dog would react again. So once the dog was calm, I started to like slowly stand up, treat, and then I would sit down, treat. So I wouldn't like stand up quick and make quick movements. I would just do it really slow. So I would stand up, reward the dog for just looking at me, just noticing that I stood up and staying calm. And then I sit down, treat. And then I stood up, took a step to the side, treat, and then sat back down. And then I stood up, turned my back on the dog, turned back around, treat, and then sit down. So just like taking it and breaking it up and rewarding the dog for like each phase, that they stay calm. So that's one thing I would do. And then the other thing you could do is teach Dakota what you want her to do instead. So if she's attacking Ellie when you pick her up, you could like put Dakota in a downstay. So think of a behavior that's incompatible with attacking Ellie. So doing like a downstay while you pick Ellie up, and then reward Dakota. And if Dakota's doing it because she wants the attention, um, then I would like pick up Ellie and then treat Dakota, give Dakota attention. And I'm just scrolling down because it said, so I just wanted to put them in the pool, but Dakota started to bite her when I lifted her to go into the pool. So for that, I might use like a positive interrupter, like enough or and then ask Dakota to do something else that you can then reward. So like, because if Dakota's sitting, then she can't be fighting Ellie. And I'm assuming that you have like a pool small enough that the dogs can like sit in. My pool's small enough that they can sit if they want. I mean, Jade lays right down in it, and it's shallow enough that she can lay down in it. The other thing, if you have help, you could always do engage disengage, so that you can teach Dakota to just notice you picking Ellie up to go in the pool and reward her for that. You could do that as well. So if you can send me a video, I don't want to set Dakota up to where she's practicing that behavior, but if you notice that it's still happening, I would love to see it, because I would love to see, is Dakota like resource guarding the pool, or is it kind of a jealousy thing because you're picking Ellie up instead of her? That kind of thing. So, if you can record it without putting Ellie at risk, send me a video. Otherwise, I would just break down that behavior and reward Dakota for staying calm with each little step until Dakota's like totally fine. Like, oh, I like it when mom picks up Ellie to go into the pool because I get rewarded. And then make sure you're using like, high value treats too, so that it's a good association. And then Dakota keeps on licking Ellie's ear. Is that a sign of ear infection? Not necessarily. Like sometimes my dogs will groom each other. They'll lick each other's ears. You can tell if Ellie has an ear infection by smelling her ear. So if you can smell, usually the dogs will have like a yeasty smell, but you can definitely smell an ear infection. If there's any question, then I would go to the vet. But I see my dogs licking each other's ears all the time, and they don't have ear infections. You can also take like a little 4x4 and just like with your finger put it in Ellie's ear and see if any gunk or dirt or anything is coming out. But usually you can just, hey Jade, come here. I don't know if Jade will come over here because the cat's on the couch, but I'm going to show you. Hey, come out here for a minute. So usually if I need to see if a dog has an ear infection, I'll just like open up their ear and stick my nose in their ear. Good girl. Okay, that's such a good girl. Yeah, be careful the cat's right there. So I'll just like smell their ear, and you can definitely smell an ear infection. So you can try that. And again, if you are in doubt or if you're not sure, I would call your vet. Oh, you already smelled it. Okay, good job. Then it's probably not an ear infection. So sometimes they just groom each other. Could be like a sign of affection, things like that. Hi, Emily. I was wondering when you were going to jump on. And congratulations on your new foster fail. Emily just ended up adopting her foster. I also have a new foster, which he is not with me right now. No longer am I going to be able to say, girls, come on, because now I have 3 girls and a boy. But I'm so excited for you to meet him. Um, he's a special needs little guy, and he doesn't use his back legs. His spine is really messed up. So I learned something new. I may have told you this last week, but I don't remember things very well because I have an over 50 brain. But there is a new breed out that I did not even know about called a shorty bull. And it's a cross between a pit bull and a French bulldog, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what I was told. And Daphne here, but I would show you. Daphne is a cross between a pit bull and a French bulldog. And these these puppies are like a designer. They're a new designer breed, and they are going for an insane amount of money. So now a lot of like backyard breeders are trying to cross pit bulls with French bulldogs and irresponsible breeding, and they are getting some congenital um, spinal cord defects. So this little guy drags his back legs. When he can get his feet under him, then he can walk, but he's very wobbly. So he's going to get a cart. We'll be getting him a cart or some wheels or something. But I'm going to be fostering him. He's been here already for a little while, but he's back at the rescue just because he has a doctor's appointment, and because I'm on live until I'm basically stay on until either 8 o'clock or when everybody's questions are answered. I wasn't sure that I would be able to get him back to the rescue in time for his doctor's appointment tomorrow, so I just left him there. But super excited for you to meet him. He's adorable. He's only 8 months old, and probably on a live you won't be able to see him walk, but you can follow my personal Facebook page, and I'll post pictures and videos of him. He's so cute, and we're still trying to we're still trying to find the perfect name for him because he he walks like a walrus, so his front feet are turned out, and he kind of walks like this, and then he drags his back feet. So we're thinking of calling him Willy Walrus, and then I just call him Willy Wonka sometimes because he walks really wonky. Um, so the rescue had started calling him Tonka. So sometimes he's Willy Wonka Tonka. So he's got a lot of nicknames. But he's a happy little guy. He's so cute. So I'm excited for you to meet him when he's actually here when I do a live. Okay, Fiorella has a question. I don't know if my dog gets jealous or was a resource guarding thing. 4 days ago, a person who always is giving my dog treats was petting another dog, and my dog immediately went towards the person and put his head over the other dog. And since the dog didn't move, he attacked him but didn't injure the dog. Um, After that, I thought he became aggressive, but the next day he smelled him and nothing happened. Um, so, yeah, it could be. So, usually a chin over or a head over is kind of a sign of that dog trying um, to assert like social hierarchy over the other dog. Um, I see Jade do it sometimes with dogs, with new dogs that she meets. Um, so I mean, it could be a jealousy thing. I don't really think it was a resource guarding type of thing. Um, if I see a dog doing a chin over or like a head over the other dog, I'll immediately say, hey, and I interrupt and I redirect. Because depending on the other dog, sometimes the other dog will just be like, okay, I'm out, and they'll like walk away, or sometimes the other dog might roll over on their back, um, things like that. But depending on what the other dog does, and then depending on your dog, sometimes it can end up in a growl session or things like that. So yeah, and then the next day they smell each other, nothing happened. That sounds right too. Especially if it's like I said, if it was it a new dog, like that your dog had never met before. It could be like a social hierarchy type thing. Like, oh, here's a new dog. Um, I've got to let him know that I'm top dog. I don't use the word alpha or dominant because those terms are misused a lot, and I don't want to contribute to that, but it can be like a social hierarchy thing. And it also depends on if, um, sometimes you'll see it if you have two females or two males or two dogs about the same age. So when dogs reach teenage or adolescence and they're kind of starting to, figure out where they are in the social hierarchy, they may do it. So like I said, I do see my own dog do it sometimes, and I will immediately say, like, hey, and then I'll redirect her and just diffuse it before anything happens. So yeah, if you see your dog do that, just interrupt, redirect. And yeah, I'm glad the other dog didn't get injured. Usually, there's no injury when that kind of thing happens. But to me, it doesn't sound like really a jealous or a resource guarding thing. It sounds more like I said, a social hierarchy type thing. Um, let's see. I'm reading again just to make sure I read it right. Um, yeah, that's what I think was going on. I mean, and it could have been a little. It could have started out as a little bit of a jealousy thing, since that person's giving your dog treats and then all of a sudden starts petting another dog. Um, so yeah, either way, whenever you see a dog put their head over the other dog, I interrupt and redirect. So if your dog's on a leash, um, that's why when I tell people, like, when they're allowing their dog to meet another dog, always stay on the outside so the leashes are on the outside. And if the dogs like curve or turn, then I turn with them, so that then if there is a chin over, I'll just say and then or I'll say like, hey, enough, or stop, just an interrupter, and then I just walk my dog away. So I kind of pull her away so that she can't practice that behavior. Oh, you have two boys and a girl, so you just say babies. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever been able to say like girls. So I just say girls, come on. And I've always had either, well, I've always had a mixture of boys and girls. And so this is the first time that I've had all three girls. And then I'm adding in Willy Wonka. So yeah, that's a good one though, saying babies, come on. So I think Maddie will love that because Maddie's 11. So she'll like to be called a baby again. Okay. Hi, Cindy. Cindy was last week's winner, right? Was it last week that you won the free bag of training treats? Let's see. Oh, so Cindy sent me a video of Pepper training Joey to get lost. Cool. Did I read that right? I'll have to look at it when I get back to like email. I'm afraid if I switch over that I'll lose you. So I will look at it either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll look at it and then I'll get back to you. Okay. Oh, so Tug is 14 and he likes it. That's good. I mean, they really don't know what it means. What babies means. So as long as it's in an upbeat tone, um, they'll answer to anything. So yeah, that's awesome. Um, oh, good. And okay, so Cindy's saying that he's learning to play nice now. That's good. Finally, I know, I get it. Finally. Um, so I was reading, and I may have said this last week. I never remember like what I say week to week, and I wish I had this book. It's out in my car in my backpack. But I'm reading a book right now on adolescent and teenage dogs. I think this is where I read it. But anyway, they were talking about how dogs respond more to body language than they do to verbal cues. So I actually tried this experiment that they talk about in the book, and number one, they're exactly right, and number two, I realized that my dog, Jade, who I've spent hours and hours and hours with, is not as well trained as I thought. Because what I did is from across the room with no hand, I put my hands behind my back and I said, "Hey, seats." And my dogs are trained in German, so I use seats instead of sit. And she just looked at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she just ignored me. Well, she didn't ignore me. She was looking right at me, but she didn't sit. She just stood there. So then I used my hand signal, like the hand signal that I use for sit, and I did the hand signal and I said, fudge, which is not the sit word. I said fudge, and she sat. So she was responding to body language more than she was verbal cue. And then I did a recall and I did my normal excited, like usually I say like, come on, come here. And I like tap my lap or my legs and get really excited and make it really fun. And this time I said, Jade, plant. And I said, plant. And she came running to me. So she's responding more to my body language um, and my hand signals and what I do than the verbal. So that's how, and they were talking about like when you are training a behavior, you should do it in different contexts. So do sit while you're standing. Put your hands behind your back and try and tell your dog to sit. Try facing the wall and not even facing your dog and saying sit and see if your dog sits. And then try laying down on the ground and like you're in a coffin and say sit and see if your dog sits. I can guarantee Jade won't sit. If I'm laying on the ground, number one, she's going to be licking my face. And number two, she's going to think it's playtime and she probably will not sit. And if I face the wall, pretty sure she's not going to do it. So that's kind of how you can tell if your dog really understands what a verbal cue is or if they're responding more to body language. So this is such a good book. I'm only like a fourth of the way done, and I have notes in there like different games and different things that you can do that I'm going to incorporate into like some of my classes even. So just demonstrations on I can use my dog as a bad example um, of like yeah she doesn't really know what the word sit means. She's responding more to my hand signal. And there's a few other ones that I'm gonna incorporate into classes. So it's really good. I think it's just called um, adolescent dog or something. I'll have to look. And if I remember, I'll bring it next week and just show you. But for those of you that have teenage and adolescent dogs, it's a really good book. So Fiorella is saying my dog knows the other dog. Since the other dog was a puppy, my dog is now nearly 2 years old. Um, and the other dog is 9 months. So it can still happen, and it could be because the other dog is 9 months old. So um, it depends on breed, but the other dog is now going from like puppy into adolescence. So that could be a change. And at 2 years old, your dog is kind of depending again on breed. So smaller breeds mature faster than larger breeds, but at between 2 and 3 is when they start to go from adolescent to adult. So you have one dog that is reaching social maturity or adulthood, and you have another dog that is nearing or in the teenage adolescent stage. So yes, it definitely could. That definitely could happen. So yeah, if your dog's a Westie, which is a smaller breed, then definitely by 2 years old, you're getting an adult. Like you have a dog that's becoming an adult. Um, so yeah, that definitely could happen. And I'm not saying it was a thing. It could be, but definitely you want to watch that head over and um, just interrupt and redirect. So yeah, if there's 7 dogs total and your dog is the oldest, as other dogs start to get older and start to go into that adolescent teenage stage, you also have to take into account like hormones, like hormonal changes, and when they're spayed or neutered. Also, you're more likely to have issues between dogs of the same sex, so 2 males or 2 females. Um, and again, hormonal changes, things like that. So, yeah, absolutely. It makes total sense if you have a 2 year old and a 9 month old. So, what kind of dog is the 9 month old? I'm assuming that it's a smaller dog if a Westie can put the head over the other one. So, yeah, absolutely, that can happen. I mean, I've seen Jade do it. Jade's probably 2.5, 3, um, and I've seen her do it a few times with smaller, like puppies, but not like young small puppies, but like 10 or 11 month old that are her height or a little bigger. So she's like, okay, that dog's bigger than me, and I need to let him know who's boss, or I'm totally anthropomorphizing that. And that's one word that I can never say. Dachshund. Yeah. So a dachshund is small. A dachshund is going to mature faster. Um, so yeah, that definitely makes sense. Um, and it definitely could have been resource guarding too. And if your Westie is very food motivated and usually like resource guards food, then it could definitely be a resource guarding thing. But with resource guarding, I would more expect to see your Westie just like go after the dachshund and not even bother to do the head over thing first. So usually with resource guarding, it's quicker. It's more like a snap or like a growl, snap, like get away from my food type warning thing. So that's what I would expect to see with resource guarding. But yeah, it could definitely be a jealousy thing too. Um, okay. Any other questions? We might get done early tonight. I know it's a holiday weekend, so well, it's only Wednesday, but we're coming up on a holiday weekend, at least here in the U.S. Does anybody have any Fourth of July questions, sound questions? If you came in late, go back and watch the recording because I kind of demoed how to use the sound app from the Pupford app and how to do the fireworks. Um, let's see. What I found interesting is that my Westie likes to play with 5 to 6 month old dogs, males or females, and it was the first time it happened. Yeah, and it could be too without seeing it. I mean, it could have been something that the other dog did. It could have been, is the other dog neutered or is the other dog still intact? Is your dog still intact or neutered? Um, and the same thing. Like Jade plays awesome with other dogs and with puppies, especially. But I have seen her do it a few times with other dogs. Um, Monday night, she played with another little pit bull mix that is only 6 months, 4 to 6 months old. And they do play rough together, but that's kind of how pitties play. And great. I mean, they're both females, and um, they played great. And there was like no issues at all. But I have seen Jade kind of do the chin over with certain dogs. So your dog is neutered, but the other isn't, and that could be because the other dog is, getting older and still has um, all of its male parts, so that could be an issue too. So whenever I meet with new clients, they always wonder like, why don't you want me to bring the dog out right away? And it's because I always take a lot of time to get a history, and these are all the questions I ask, like um, learning history, things about genetics if they know, neutered or unneutered. Like there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And I'll give you a really good example. Speaking of this never happening before, and I think I shared this last week or the week before, but I was doing a puppy board and train, and this puppy's been to my house before and met my dogs before, done great. Played with all my dogs, did, perfect. And the owner dropped him off again, and I actually put him in the house. I didn't want him outside yet, but the owner's son and then my cousin, who's 11, they both wanted to go jump on the tramp together, and they let the puppy out the back door. So there was a lot going on. I was out in the front yard talking to the owner. My cousin's big hunting dog was in the backyard, which is why I didn't want the little puppy out. The hunting dog is friendly, but he's a lot of dog and he's too rough. Um, and this is like a little French bulldog puppy. So I watched the French bulldog puppy go run up behind my dog Daphne and run under her, and it caught her off guard, like kind of scared her. And there was a lot going on. There was two loud kids jumping on the tramp. I'm in front talking. My dog was blocked in, so there was a fence, my dog, and then the hunting dog. So Daphne really had no place to go, and I just all of a sudden saw Daphne go after the puppy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you've never so much as growled at another dog. Like, what? Of all my dogs, she is the last one that I would ever suspect. Usually, when I bring like a new foster or a board and train, she's the first dog that I introduce them to because I always introduce them to the calmest dog first. And so for her to do that was like so out of character. And, I kept playing it over like, okay, what could have happened? What triggered this? And it could have been trigger stacking, which I talked about. It could have been just like her being startled and then having no place to go, like feeling blocked in. Um, yeah, so sometimes it just, you're right, it does happen, like first time it happens. But now you can take that as um, a learning opportunity. So now that you know that your dog does that, now you can kind of watch for that body language. And as soon as you see your dog do a head over, be ready to redirect, like interrupt, redirect. So, um, yeah, I would do that, and especially, and I wouldn't worry so much about these two dogs just because they met the next day, sniffed, and were fine. Same thing with these guys. It actually took a few days. The second day I took the pup out, I had Daphne on a leash, and Daphne was doing some lip licking and was definitely a little nervous and standoffish. So I didn't let her off leash and I didn't let the two dogs interact. But a few days later, they were totally fine. They they played. They were fine. So I did supervise all the time, but I do that with any board and train. I don't ever just let them out in the back with my dogs unless I'm there to watch or supervise. Because even with the best dogs, something can happen. So especially since I have an 11-year-old dog that has back and leg issues and is on prednisone, and she's older, so she doesn't always like puppies jumping on her. Um, and then I have Jade who loves to play, but she plays rough, so I do have to make sure that she doesn't play too rough. So I always supervise stuff like that. So it's probably a good idea to like just let your Westie meet other dogs on leash first, make sure everything's going to be okay. Now that you know that things can happen around treats or petting, um, you want to kind of monitor those a little bit more, just so that you can redirect if you need to. And thankfully, neither dog was hurt, so now you can use that as a learning, and then be ready to interrupt and redirect next time. Um, let's see. See if I can get Daphne. So Daphne is my dog that um, doesn't mind. But in all honesty, I rescued her because she had a hip and she had a corkscrew tail, so she couldn't poop right. Like it would ooze out the side, and so they had to amputate her tail. And so whenever a dog has an amputated tail, it's harder to read their body language. And I was just worried that um, she would get picked on by other dogs, and I was worried that somebody would adopt her that wouldn't be able to deal with like her hip issue. So I rescued her, um, and she's adorable. But I didn't spend a ton of time training her other than like some of the basics. So when I call her to come to me, she doesn't always listen. Plus, Raisin's on the couch and she's afraid of the cat. But I was going to show you what a pit bull Frenchie looks like. If she comes over, I'll show you. Okay, Julie says, for the rest of the summer, I will be watching my sister's kids. I'm trying to get her kids to understand how to treat my dogs and certain things they shouldn't do with them because Dakota doesn't like it when they make loud noises because she'll start to bark and doesn't like when someone puts their hand over her head, whereas Ellie doesn't mind. Um, Also trying to drill into their heads, not to put their face in the dog's face. That's awesome. Um, and a lot of times when I'm working with um, families, it is about educating the kids. And I always say, okay, there's certain rules. Um, if a dog is eating or has a bone or a toy, we leave the dog alone. And I'll even demo it. Like I'll give, when I go to schools and do body language things, like I will give a kid like a candy bar, and then I'll go snatch it and take it away. And just the look on their face is like, oh my gosh, what did you just do? And I and then I say, well, how did that make you feel? Like, did you like that when I, gave you something and then I just took it away? And they're like, no. And I said, well, dogs don't like that either. Like, if they're chewing on something, they don't like it when you come and take it away. And so there are certain times when you want to just leave dogs alone, when they're eating, when they have a resource, when they're sleeping. You don't ever want to scare them. Leave them alone when they're sleeping. And yes, and dogs, the other thing I would teach them too is not to hug the dog. Like Ellie might be fine with it. I'm going to say that Dakota probably doesn't. Most dogs don't love being hugged. Um, and I also teach kids that if you do try to pet them or you hug them and they want to back away, then you let them back away. I usually will teach kids to like hold their hand out with a treat and then start to pet the dog under the chin and not reach over. Um, and I just say, do you guys know how to feed a horse? And this is how you feed a horse. You hold your hand out and the horse will take the food right out of your hand. And just say that's how you're going to give treats to the dog. And then you're going to pet under the chin rather than reach over. Um, and then I'll even do it to kids. Like because I'm taller than most kids, like I'll loom over them and reach over their head and say like, is this intimidating to you? Like it's scary when a stranger, you don't know me, and I come and like lean over you and put my hand over your face head. And so if you can kind of demo to the kids so that they understand from the dog's point of view what it looks like, then a lot of times they understand. And yep, that's exactly what you do. So that's perfect. That's what you should do. Um, I have some cards that I can't remember where I got them. It's the name of a place that they do education for kids, but anyway, they're just like playing card size, and it's different body language. So I'll hold it up and say, okay, does this dog want to be pet, or is this dog saying stay away? And then um, I let the kids answer. So it just teaches them how to read body language. And another rule that I have, which you probably already do, but I'm going to say it for the benefit of everybody else, is I tell kids that when my dogs go to their crate, that means they want to be left alone. So that means they're off limits. So when Maddie goes to her crate, then that means she doesn't want to be messed with. When I used to have my piglet dog, if he'd go to a crate, that meant the kids couldn't touch him or pet him or try to interact with him. Same with all my dogs. I can tell when, like Jade, who's so playful, and when I have a puppy here or kids here, when she goes to her crate, I can tell that she's done. And so then I have to I redirect the puppy and maybe I'll put the puppy in a crate for a while, or have the puppy go play with Daphne for a while. And it's like, okay, Jade needs a break. If she's in her crate, she needs a break. And I tell kids that too. If the dogs are in their crate, they're off limits. And so you go play with the dog that's out of the crate or go do something else, but they're like in their own little room. So good job. If that's what you do, that's awesome. Um, okay, well, it's 7 o'clock, and if we don't have any more questions, then we can go ahead and do a drawing. And then if we have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, um, then you can be done for tonight, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. So let me get these names torn up. I mean, like, I just write them down and then I tear them up, and I should just start writing them on separate pieces of paper and have that done ahead of time and then put them all in a bowl. I'm still working on the great trick of having Jade actually pick the name out of the bowl. That's what I'm working on. So hopefully um, I'll be able to have time to do that because that'll be so cool to have Jade like pick a name out of the bowl. She's learning how to pick items up, but I haven't. Usually she'll pick it up and then want to take it to her bed and chew on it. And I haven't tried it where there's multiple items, so she doesn't know like which item to pick up. And I have a feeling like if I say pick it up in a bowl, she'll pick up more than one. So, and we can only have one winner. Um, okay, so tonight's winner is Kristen Sanders from Ohio. So congratulations, Kristen. What you're going to do is email hello@pupper.com, and I will email them as well and let them know that you're our winner, and you can tell them what kind of training treats you want and give them your address, and they'll mail them out to you. If you haven't tried any before, this is your chance to try them, or if there is a flavor you haven't tried yet, um, now you can try a different flavor. I use basically all of them, but for what I do, I use salmon and rabbit the most. Um, I do use all of them with my dogs, but some dogs have chicken allergies, so then I use like beef liver. I have yet to find a dog that doesn't love them, so um, but I tend to need higher value treats, and the salmon seem to be the most smelly, so that's why I use salmon a lot. But I also use rabbit a lot too. So, anyway, congratulations, Kristen. And if there's no more questions, I will sign off. Everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July for those of you that are in the States. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Good night.